always be this dichotomy and this difference which keeps on eating you up, right? So you will not be really enjoying what you're doing. Though you apparently you have all the wealth which you need, all the power you need, all the fame you need, but still there is that unhappiness remains. But whereas when you utilize whatever you have, the little to more whatever you have in Krishna's service, there is a different kinds of happiness that is experienced at the not the bodily level, but at the what the Krishna is going to call soul, Atma level. That Satchit Ananda. That Ananda is eternal. Any Ananda which you derive on our material activities for our own sense gratification will only give you temporary Ananda, temporary happiness. But when you do the activities for Krishna, which could be anything, welcoming people, garlands, or making, washing the pots, or doing the deity dresses, whatever the service is, that is going to give the Ananda, right? So that what Krishna is actually talking about in Bhagavad Gita. He is not talking about the temporary Ananda in this part. But whereas Arjuna is focused on the temporary happiness. Because he knows he is not going to live forever. He knows Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Duryodhana, Duryodhana, even if he doesn't kill them, their lives are also limited, right? So he is actually looking for happiness on a temporary platform. But he is now, because of the good qualities, he is overcome with that. He is not able to take a decision here. So, but when you take the, basically Prabhupada says here, when you try to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy one's own senses, then by the grace of Govinda, all desires of the living entity are satisfied. It's like, a child goes and asks for a parent for certain thing, right? Now the child is obedient and loving and parents that relationship, the father will give anything what the child wants. Sometimes he doesn't give it because he may ask for a car. He's just a 5-year-old kid. Will the father buy a car for him, big car? He will buy a replica car. So play with this. So at that time a replica car is enough. But when he becomes older, that time he asks her, then he has safety in mind. So should I buy this car? Is he really qualified? Is he really qualified to drive? Then based on that, he will still decide whether to give or not. At some point of time, he may give it, right? But if at any point of time you say, why I am not getting what I want, the understanding is it's not right thing to get at the time for you. That's why you're not getting it. Or maybe you should not get it. It's not good for you. So having this kind of thinking process, that father, Krishna is the father and Krishna is the father of all of us, and he will know when to give, whether to give or not to give. And that is the real, when you say giving pleasure to the senses, because Krishna will decide whether what is going to give you help in your spiritual journey or not. So, but Arjuna is overcome with his deep affection for his relatives and friends, and he says, if all these got killed, even if I'm victorious, who I am going to share my all these riches? Normally, people share that with their family. If the family itself is not there, what is the point of this victory? This victory is meaningless. That's what Arjuna is thinking, because he's a natural devotee of the Lord. At the heart, he doesn't want to retaliate against anyone who actually caused the harm to them. That is what a rishi's kind of mentality. But here Prabhupada says, a devotee may want to forgive. Somebody who causes harm to a devotee, he may want to forgive him. But Lord will not tolerate it. Lord will not like his devotee to be insulted or retaliate, kind of thing. What is the example, the greatest example which we have? Prahalada. Prahalada was subjected to so much of trouble. So much of trouble. Right? Then ultimately, you never see like Prahalada asking for help. Oh Lord, I'm being subjected to so much of cruelty at my hands of my father. Please come and do something. You don't hear a single verse in Bhagavatam like that. Only Hiranyakasipu, out of his arrogance, he asks, you speak about this Vishnu, who is great, and he says everywhere, and he's the protector of everyone. You think he is easy in this pillar? And the next answer, Prahlad says, let me think, let me call some 50-50, let me call, make a phone call. No. Immediately he said, yes, he is there in that pillar. Such is the faith of Prahlad Maharaj. And of course, rest you know. Hiranyakasipu again goes and tries, breaks the pillar, and out from the pillar comes Narsimha, right? Na manusham, na mrigam means neither human nor an animal form, the lion form. So Lord is, that is the faith of the devotee. And with that faith, even the devotee may wants to forgive the miscreant, but the Lord will not forget. Lord will remember all these things, right? He can excuse somebody on his own account. Nobody can force him, but he will not definitely tolerate if somebody causes a harm to the devotees. Next verse. Papamevashrayedasman hatvaitan atatayinah tasman narha vayam hantum dhatarashtan sabandhavan swajanam hi khatam hatva sukinasyama madhava. Here now is giving the next reason. Apart from his own reasons of not able to enjoy when he fights and wins the war, but nobody to share with, the second one is sin will overcome us if we slay such digressors. I know they are connecting the speakers. So sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So here he calls Madhava. Madhava means husband of goddess of fortune. So fortune is going to come, but he's thinking it's misfortune. By fighting this war and killing all these people is a misfortune. Krishna, oh Madhava, you are the husband of goddess of fortune. How can misfortune, you are allowing me to have this misfortune? He doesn't understand Krishna actually does not create misfortune for anybody. Sometimes people think that way, right? Oh, don't worship Krishna, then he'll become like this. You can worship some other deity, that's okay, right? We all have these misconceptions. So here he's saying sin will overcome us if slay such aggressors. Now, according to the Vedic injunction, there are 6 kinds of aggressors who have to be dealt with. Who are they? One, a poison giver, somebody who poisons others, is the first aggressor. Second one who sets the fire to the house, somebody who burns the people's houses. Third one who attacks with deadly weapons. Fourth one who plunders the riches. Fifth one who occupies another's land. And sixth one who kidnaps a wife. Right. Now Pandavas have done all these things, most of these things. And in case Ravana did kidnap Sita Devi. So you never seen Lord Ram saying that it's okay, Ravana doesn't understand, I'll negotiate with him, whatever that is, kind of thing. No need to take any action. No, he was lamenting because Sita was not with him, but at the same time he is making the arrangements how to get Sita back. And he didn't show similar leniency towards Vali also, who also did something similar to his brother Sugriva. Right? And Ravana also same thing. He dealt with them very sternly. Means Bhagavan, Ram is Vigrahan Dharma, right? He is the Dharma personified. If you want to know Dharma, no need to read script, definitions of Dharma. Just read Ramayana and Lord Ram's behavior. Then you know what Dharma means. That's what the statement Maricha gives. He is a demon who actually gives this definition. Rama means Dharma, that's it. He is the Dharma personified, not some concept. So that means these aggressors have to be dealt with. We cannot be tolerant. And now if you see all these 6 kind of aggressors, this is our news. Poison giver, some sets the fire to the house, somebody attacks deadly weapons, plunders the riches, right? Occupies another's land, kidnaps your wife. These are our breaking news. At the local level, individual level, or at the mass nationals level, when the wars are being fought. All these 6 things are happening. So when such things are happening, when you don't punish them, the karma will be coming to all of us. That is another thing. There is one is your own individual karma. Then you are part of a society, and as a society, if you do such thing, that will also come to you. So that's the danger. So such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. So Prabhupada writes and purports, but Arjuna is thinking like that. But Arjuna is a saintly character, so he wants to deal with them in a saintliness, right? But this kind of saintliness, however, is not for a Kshatriya. What is the Kshatriya dharma mean? Kshatriya means Kshat means they wound. They can cause, basically they can kill. Kshatriya, right? For what purpose? To protect the dharma, not for their sense gratification. The kings in the modern age, until recently, some of them are really good kings, but most of them got corrupt, saying that they are entitled to the kingdom. They are entitled to all the riches and the power, whatever they get out of the kingdom. I think that is what it is. But the Vedic tradition of kings says, if the king has 4 sons, he has to leave the kingdom to the person who is capable of running that in that way, proper way. Not that I'll divide my kingdom into 4 parts and you do whatever you want, or by definition you are the eldest, you will get it. If the elder is also good, then yes. But if elder is cruel, they are not supposed to give the kingdom to such persons. So the kings have an obligation to establish a ruler who follows the principles of dharma and protect the praja, and then set this by their own examples. And such a person is actually should be the king. And thus, when king is like that, is following dharma. Dharma is nothing but coming from Vishnu. He is also considered as Vishnu. So kings are worshipped like Vishnu, because Vishnu has this 2 things, right? One is he protects the devotees. Another aspect of him is he takes care of the miscreants. He is the maintainer of all the universes. So he has the special. Vishnu does this through those 2 agencies: protection and taking care of the miscreants. A king is supposed to exhibit the same qualities, and that's why if he exhibits the same qualities, he is considered as good as Vishnu. Sometimes when you see a child and child is exactly like father, we will say that, right? Oh, you. And his thinking is also like that, and child is capable and is mature enough. We may consult the child now, the son or daughter, because now son or daughter is actually exhibiting the qualities of the saintly parents, right? Good qualities. Similarly, here when king exhibits the qualities of Vishnu proper way, he is also considered as Vishnu. So Rama, we just talked about to establish Ramarajya. He has done so many activities, wonderful pastimes, Ramayana, full of pastimes of such things. How he dealt with various saintly people, Rakshasas, how he dealt with Guru, how he dealt with the parents, how he dealt with the friends, how he dealt with his brothers, right? How he dealt with women. And all these things, Rama's life, you read that, everything will be very crystal clear for us. Because saintly person, generally the nature is, you are saintly means you have to forgive, right? That's one of the qualities. But such injunctions are more important than any political emergency. That means sometimes a political emergency will come. So what is the important one? The principles, the saintly principles. So Arjuna is actually here is thinking that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, that's what they're fighting for the war, it would be better to forgive them on the grounds of religion and saintly behavior. Right? That's what he's choosing. Is Arjuna right in this case? He says he has to exhibit a saintly behavior, principle is higher, and is fighting the war only to win his kingdom back. And all the vows they took to kill Dushasana and Duryodhana, because they did so much of injustice to Draupadi and Pandavas. So he should forgive everything, and then that's what he's exhibiting. Is it correct? Right? That's why Arjuna is calling Krishna as Madhava. You don't bring any, you are a husband of goddess of fortune. How can you want me to engage in such activities which is going to get me misfortune? Right? But Krishna will not do that. So in fact, Prabhupada says Krishna never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing of his devotees specifically. In the devotees, he is always protecting. Yogatshemam ahamyam. That's what. Okay. Yajapte te na pasyanti lobo pahata chetasah kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradrohe cha patakam Katham na jneyam asmabhihi papad asman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapasyadbhir janardana. This is another thing. Every verse Krishna is being addressed with the different names. If you collect all the names, it will be like what you're doing Ashtotra or Satanam, Sahasranama, right? Because you are addressing Krishna through his qualities. That means you're remembering those aspects of Krishna. You're remembering those pastimes of Krishna. So, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. The name, Rupa, the forms, its qualities, and Leela, the pastimes. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. This is how we actually remember the Lord all the time. When you're out, you're not seeing the deity, right? But you had the darshan, you can remember. And he's Krishna. So you can remember the pastimes of Krishna. And you can remember the various names of Krishna, various qualities of Krishna. Any of these considers you actually worshipping the Lord no matter where you are. You may be traveling and you may be remembering one pastime of the Krishna. That means you are actually worshipping Krishna at that point of time. It's not that you sit in an asana and do some puja. Only that is the time you are worshipping Krishna. No. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. If you understand these four things, you can never have an excuse saying that I cannot worship Krishna. Minimum, Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Acharyas say, in this age, Kali Yuga, only chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the method of salvation. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, there are different methods. Satya Yuga is most about yajnas and sacrifices. Dwapara Yuga is a temple worship, right? So likewise, there are so many methods are available which are prominent for that particular age. But in Kali Yuga, if you read Satya Yuga principles and the pastimes, you think you will not have first of all such a qualified brahmanas and priests and sages, and the society is not full of Krishna conscious people or godly conscious people. You don't have the kings like that. With all this thing, how and the ingredients are also not proper. You cannot even guarantee that the ghee which you are getting is a pure ghee, right? And the water also. So when the ingredients are not pure, and the people who are supposed to know these rituals are not anymore, and the process itself is not pure, and the people who are requesting them this kind of pujas are also not pure, you are not going to get the result which is intended by doing such a sacrifice. Now what is the alternative for this? So Acharyas say, in Kali Yuga, just chant the names of Lord Hari. Other than this, there is no other way, no other way, no other way. They significantly said 3 times. And I also say chant, chant, chant. So the easiest process in Kali Yuga and for this age is just chanting the names of Hari. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prominently brought to the front and say, chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And he says, people say, oh no, I didn't get from a guru, can I chant it? So he says, I am giving the blessings and power that you all, anybody who chants this and anybody who gives on my behalf is actually considered as a guru. And it can be chanted anywhere with no restrictions, good times, bad times, suchi, asuchi, all those. He said, mantra is pure. Your bodily condition does not affect the mantra. Mantra will not become pure because you're... But of course, we have to make an attempt to be fresh and suchi and do it. But sometimes it's not possible, still chant the names. The name is not getting contaminated. So he gives the example of the sunshine falls on the earth. It falls in the good places and bad places. If the good unclean places, what the sun does? It dries it up. And then it becomes part of the earth. And the place becomes clean. Is sun getting contaminated because of this? No. Is the sun rays getting contaminated? No. Sun is sun. So this name, chanting these names of Hari, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you chant wherever, whenever, all the time. No one need to think. No one need to ask whether I can chant or not. Because our power of the mantra is actually coming through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 600 years ago, he actually gave it to us. So when you are chanting, when you Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you are getting the benefit. This mantra specifically Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that way, so it is beneficial for us. So here, O Janardana, although these men their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends. Why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? Now he's going to from sin, he's going to the family traditions. Not only these people get killed, but they have families. So I am the cause for destruction of their families if I fight this war. But here a Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse a battle or a gamble. Even by the way, gamble also. That's why Yudhishthir cannot refuse the game of dice. Kshatriyas have this principle. Some principles are, if somebody wants to fight with you and is an equal match, it's not like some child comes and wants to fight with you, you would immediately accept, let's fight. You still have to use the discretion, right? And on a proper way, if Kshatriya is offered a fight, he has to accept it. Right? Remember that Jarasandha story? Krishna and Bhima go in disguise, but Jarasandha recognizes who they are. But they come as Brahmanas, but they know they are not Brahmanas. But Jarasandha gave a promise, whatever you ask, I'll give. So when that is the time they declare, we are actually not Brahmanas, we are Krishna and Bhim. But it's, no matter what, I gave you my word, I'll fight. Right? So this fighting is something like that they cannot refuse. That's a Kshatriya dharma, at least on the equal level when they are. And the second was the game of dice. First time, Yudhishthir plays the game and then he gets back whatever he lost, right? Second time he is called, that time he think, oh, now this is providence. One time this happened, second time is calling me, this is something beyond my reach, so I still have to accept it, right? He knows Sekuni is going to cheat them, but still has to accept it, right? He did that. So a Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse a battle or a gamble when he is so invited by some rival party. Under such an obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight. So Prabhupada is giving the same example. Now Arjuna cannot run away because Duryodhana wanted to fight with him, right? So here Arjuna is considering the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. But Arjuna, he could see these evil consequences and he could not accept the challenge. Sometimes the other guy is in ignorance mode. He doesn't understand. But I understand what is better. So why should I accept it? So Prabhupada is giving here, it's an obligation is actually binding when the effect is good. This obligation, if you follow this obligation, if something good is going to happen, then yes, do it. But when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be warned. That means sometimes by accepting the obligation, you are causing more destruction. Then the obligation has no value. Because at that time, protection takes precedence than the obligation. So we all be faced with, I have an obligation, but your obligation is going to cause damage to many people. So then it's no more an obligation. It's more like a shackles to not to take action. But the same thing is going to help a lot of people. Yes, even if it causes some kind of inconvenience to you, then you should do it. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decided not to fight. Kulakshaye pranasyanti kula dharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam krishnam adharmo abhibhavatyuta. Kulakshaye, in destroying the family. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. This is another thing. If the family is lost, family is the one which binds people together, the unit, and as a unit you can actually practice dharma, the religiosity. When the family itself is gone, then the members of the family will become directionless, and they can go anywhere in different directions, because now so many people will guide them, so many attractions, so many pulls and pushes will happen in life, and since nobody to monitor and protect the family members, family traditions will be lost. So this is why Prabhupada here brings in the purport Varnashrama institution. Varna and Ashrama. Varna means Brahmana, Vaisya, Sudra, Kshatriya, and Ashrama are Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. This is the core basis, foundation for our even Bhagavad Gita teaching here and the Vedic scriptures. So there are so many such principles of religious tradition to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. The family's purpose is as a spiritual unit, not as a procreation unit, right? Family tradition means I'm entering into Grihastha ashrama means I am responsible for to protect and maintain this dharma. So I have an obligation. So I should, as a family, both husband and wife, we are now entering into that to protect this dharma, and that is prominence rather than the other things into consideration. That is why our all when we are getting married, all the Vedic mantras, if you take time to understand the purpose behind the meaning behind that, you see that's an actually yajna. It is Vivahi yajna it is called. The Vivaha yajna, you ask the priest, explain the meaning of this, or before at least, don't stop him in the middle of the thing. Ask him before, what is this entire process involves. A proper priest will have to explain what the whole Vivaha, the mantras are. Then you will see the purpose of that. It's not an ordinary, otherwise why there is a fire sacrifice and other thing. Fire is considered an witness and is through which the sacrifices are actually the whatever we do sent to the Vishnu. So we are doing this Vivaha is actually yajna. So in the system of Varnashrama, that is the value. So the elder members are responsible for such purifying processes in the family, beginning from birth to death. But on the death of the elder members, such family traditions of purification may stop, and the remaining younger family members may develop irreligious habits and thereby lose their chance for spiritual salvation. Therefore, for no purpose should the elder members of the family be slain. So this is the same thing is exhibited in the Kshatriya warfare, the principles. You are not supposed to touch elderly, deceased, somebody who is sick, and children and women, and anybody who is not able to fight. Kshatriyas are supposed to honor that. But nowadays it exactly happens opposite. They kill common people first. They kill common people to create maximum damage. This is the principle. There, the principle is you have all these things which you are not supposed to do and you have to follow that. अधर्माभिभवात् कृष्ण प्रादुष्यन्ति कुलस्त्रियः स्त्रीषु दुष्टासु वाष्णेया jayate varnasankarah. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. This is unfortunately the situation in the modern wars and the terrorist acts, the mass scale terrorist actions which happen in other parts of the world. This is what happened. The first thing they attack is children and women, and then they kill husbands. The women have no guidance, children have no fathers, and they are forced into such situations which are not supposed to be. So out come children, and they don't know who their father is, right? When such things are happening, the whole society degrades, right? So good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity and spiritual progress in life. The peace which we are looking for is we need to have good human society. The Varnashrama principles are there to protect and create and maintain such communities, but when for this basis is the women and children. When they are protected, everybody and respect the rules and regulations, then the society will be in a good position. If they are not protected and we cause misfortune to them, then the whole society will fall down. So this is the reason there are so many things happening even in India now. Previously it was not the case, but it's more prominently. All these things are happening in India also, right? So when you not able to protect the society and women and children are violated, then a lot of unfortunate things will happen. So on the failure of such Varnashram dharma, naturally, right, everybody is free to mix whichever they want. The other way is one of this misfortune event, unfortunate event. Other one is deliberately also. People may think, why marriage? Let me enjoy whichever way I want. Men and women think that way. and the children will come. Children will imbibe the same thing, and they think just enjoying one's life is actually primary goal than to follow a dharma. The children will also perpetuate the same system. So the whole society will fall down and unwanted population will increase. Unwanted population means population which does not follow Shastra or Dharma or any principles of religion. Right? They don't follow it. And that's called Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara means that. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society. And thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. So when you're the wars, pestilence, they just fight, right? That is their nature, and they want to enjoy this life, and they think enjoyment is comes at the cost of war. So be it. So they forget the basic principles of life. So that is not what Arjuna wanted to cause, being a saintly king, Rajarshi. So we will start from verse 41 next week, same time 11:15. Hare Krishna. Now there will be Arati. Please stand up. Hare Krishna.